Welcome to the series of videos the Idaho Fish and Game's Upper Snake region has put together for the 2011 Big Game season setting process. These videos have two main purposes. One, for us to share information with you regarding aerial survey data and harvest information. Two, for you to help us identify issues with the current big game seasons in the Upper Snake region. Please note that you won't be able to use the YouTube comment box to submit your comments. At the end of each video, you'll be given an email address and instructions on how to submit your comments. This video outlines elk aerial survey and harvest data collected for the Upper Snake region. If at any point during this video you want more time to look at a graph or figure, please press the pause button located below the lower left corner of this video. The remainder of this video will highlight each of the elk management zones in the Upper Snake region. Each zone will include two slides. The first slide will show aerial survey data we've collected. The second will highlight harvest data. Each aerial survey data slide will look something like this. The red bars show the objectives for total cows, total bulls, and adult bulls for each zone. In these graphs, adult bulls means anything that was counted that was a 2.5-year-old bull or older. The thinking there is that raghorn bulls seen during aerial surveys will be adult bulls by the time the next hunting season comes around. At the bottom of each aerial survey slide, you'll see the bull-cow-calf ratio that we observed during that survey, and you'll also see the date for the next survey. This slide is for the Pioneer Zone, which includes Unit 50 in the Upper Snake region. As you can see in the 2008 survey, shown here in blue, we were within objective for cows and slightly below for bulls. This graph shows antlered and antlerless elk harvest in the Pioneer Zone back to 2001. You can see there was a fairly substantial decline in harvest in recent years. That's likely a response in the reductions in opportunity we made after the last aerial survey when we saw that we were below objective on bulls. This graph shows aerial survey data from the Limhi Zone in 2003 and 2007. Both surveys were very similar, and you can see we were above objective for cows, bulls, and adult bulls in both surveys. We are currently replicating this survey, and the complete results will be available at the March public meetings. This graph shows antlered and antlerless elk harvest in the Limhi Zone back to 2001. As you can see, harvest, especially antlered harvest, has been very steady over this time frame. This graph shows aerial survey data from the Beaverhead Zone for 1992, 2000, 2005, and 2009. As you can see in the latest survey in 2009, we were slightly over objective on cows and within objective on bulls. What doesn't show in this graph is that the 58, 59, and 59A segments of this zone were actually showing a declining trend in bulls, and that was the reasoning for the change from a spike rifle hunt on the A tag to the muzzleloader cow hunt. This graph shows antlered and antlerless harvest in the Beaverhead Zone back to 2001. As you can see, harvest remained fairly stable between 2004 and 2008, and we saw an increase in antlerless harvest and a decrease in antlered harvest in 2009, and that was likely a direct response in our change from spike rifle hunting on the A tag to muzzleloader cow hunting. This graph shows aerial survey data for the Island Park Zone for 95, 96, 98, 2000, 02, 06, and 10. Between 2000 and 2006, there was a fairly dramatic decline in the number of elk in this zone. In response to that, we made significant cuts in hunting opportunity. The 2010 numbers seem to be showing us a response to those cuts, as total numbers of elk and cows are both up. Cows are within objective. We are continuing to monitor this situation though, as bulls have not reached objective yet. This graph shows antlered and antlerless harvest in the Island Park zone, and fairly obviously displays the cuts in elk harvest opportunity that we made in 2005. This graph shows aerial survey data for the Teton zone for 2001 and 2006. This zone does not winter a large number of elk. We are currently replicating this survey, and full results will be available at the March 2011 public meetings. This graph shows antlered and antlerless harvest of elk in the Teton zone. As you can see, things have remained relatively stable, although we see a slight decline in antlered harvest in recent history. This graph shows aerial survey data for the Palisades zone from 1993, 96, 98, 2001, 2004, and 2009. As you can see, during the 2009 survey, we were within objective for cows, bulls, and we were slightly over objective for adult bulls. This graph displays antlered and antlerless harvest in the Palisades zone back to 2001. Overall trends are relatively stable in this zone. This graph shows aerial survey data for the Tex Creek zone for 1991, 92, 95, 97, 2000, 2007, and 2010. As you can see, during the 2010 survey, we were within objective for cows, within for bulls, and also within for adult bulls. This graph shows antlered and antlerless harvest in the Tex Creek zone back to 2001. There was a pretty dramatic increase in harvest in the mid-2000s on the antlerless side of things, and that was in response to some hunt timing and some animal movements at that time. Since then, hunt timing has changed slightly, and harvest now is pretty consistent between antlered and antlerless animals over the last few years. That concludes the information portion of this video. Now we want to hear your input. We're seeking your input to help us identify issues with the current big game seasons on the Upper Snake. For example, I see a human safety issue with hunt number blank in unit blank and would like to see that addressed. Deadline for your comments is February 14th. Once all comments are received, we will evaluate those and then present strategies and/or changes to help resolve these issues at the normal public meetings in early March. The time and place of these meetings has yet to be determined, but they will be advertised in local newspapers throughout the region, on the IDFG website at fishandgame.idaho.gov, or you can always call the Upper Snake Region office at 208-525-7290. Please email all issues you've identified to Daryl Meintz, the Upper Snake Regional Wildlife Manager, at daryl.meintz@idfg.idaho.gov. If you need additional time to copy down this email address, please press the pause button now located below this video. This concludes this video, and thank you for your help in setting the Upper Snake big game seasons for 2011.